I was just having a chat with a lot of my co-journalists and my friends, and we were just talking about the new films that are coming. There's a new brand of, a film that is coming very soon. It's called the Archies. So we were talking about it, and I told them, guys, the Archies actually came 31 years ago in a film called Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. And that was my take, and I'll tell you where I'm going into. So Amir Khan, according to me, was an Archie, and there was a Reggie already, Deepak Tijori. He was playing that, and there was a Veronica called Pooja Bedi, and Aisha Julka was Betty. Guys, this was already done. The only difference was you never gave the name as Archie, because obviously log nahi pehchan pate us waqt.
But honestly, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Those are the archetype characters.
Correct.
If I'm pronouncing that word correctly.
Yes, correct. Yes.
So it was not Archies in my mind, but many people had mentioned it then.
Yes.
That it reminds them of Archies.
It does, yeah.
But because those are archetype characters.
Yeah.
The boy next door.
The rich school.
The boy next door.
The
sought after guy. So ye archetype characters in. It's not archetype, but archetype or whatever that word is.
Right.
So I was not consciously thinking, I didn't mind if people felt it that way. Of course, Zoya has, I went on a set and I met her and I saw one wonderful dance they were shooting. It was fabulous. So, वो तो consciously Archies बना रहे हैं, तो वो अलग बात है. But हाँ, एक sense था. But that goes to show you how these universal characters appeal, because they exist like that.
Correct. So what was this was your baby, right? You wrote Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
I rewrote it after QSQT.
Correct.
Because I was much more experienced and I changed everything.
And that is where your writing skills, now we are slowly moving back to the one, and that is where you I would say that discovered or brought it to life, your writing talent.
I obviously got more experience.
Correct.
And obviously for that you have to be introspective, self-evaluating, willing to accept. Like there are so many things that आप कह रहे हैं आपको खटकी नहीं QSQT में, मुझे तो आज तक खटकती है.
क्या चीज खटकती?
नहीं, मैं नहीं बताऊंगा.
Seriously, I would love to know. अगर आपको दोबारा बनाना हो, what is a mistake that you would not do?
I was playing half in a progressive style, and half that part of me was still falling into those cliches of So I was midway. You know what I mean?
I see.
जैसे कि हर scene में the hero and heroine keep using each other's name with every line. नहीं राज, बात ये है कि ऐसे रश्मि तुम समझ नहीं रही ये.
Gotcha.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं होता राज. But how many times I going to and also things like, of course you may say it's now, but things that I felt they should be spelled out, but maybe they didn't have to be spelled out. So things like that.
But revisiting what Nasir Saab said, मजा आया ना?
हाँ.
बहुत मजा आया.
That's why I was gentle on myself also. After the film was a hit, and I was
because if you see the numbers, sir, we're living in a country where we have right now we're talking about almost 1.2 billion people in terms of population. So when you're targeting the masses or the classes, you have to be a little considerate as to.
No, you always have to be regardful and of the audience and respectful too.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not saying that I had total disregard. I had a healthy disregard for commercialism.
Commercialism. I agree with you.
I'm saying that I should have conviction that I'm telling a good story. I should have conviction that my characters are tasty. My scenes are meaningful. My narrative graph is moving, propelling. These were my broad. Intuitively, I've not studied filmmaking or script writing.
You haven't, but still.
But this was subconscious learning from my father.
You have delivered beyond expectations. But this is my question. Can I ask you something personally?
Sure.
So of these films that you have given as a gift to the fraternity, क़यामत से क़यामत तक, जो जीता वही सिकंदर, अकेले हम अकेले तुम, and Josh, where do you feel in terms of if you had to rank them in terms of your personal satisfaction, not how it did commercially, not the awards, not the accolades, but what makes Mansoor Khan proud if you had to rank them in terms of your deliverance?
See, I object to the word proud.
Pride
Pride comes before a fall.
Correct. Makes you makes you content.
It makes me content.
Content. You know
Yes.
that you feel like you.
In my films, see, each film I learned.
Should I even count Jane, the
No,
one that you
not at
produced?
all, not at all.
Because that one
Not at
you
all.
produced
That's
that.
not,
No, that's not your direction.
Yeah, I was just there to help Abbas with some feedback or whatever. But it was totally Abbas's film, and he was fabulous. He was a script writer and everything. So in these 4 films, obviously there's a journey and a learning and a maturing of
Mansoor Khan as an individual, yes, as a professional.
writer also, and so of course my dad was a large part of Jojita also, and Akele Hamid wrote the dialogues, but Jojita was more like QSQT was 50-50. Jojita was more like 75%, but my dad always brings his touch. It
Always,
is classy dialogues,
yeah,
and very tasty dialogues.
yes,
The whole thing wo dono aise ho gayi. That's classic my dad's humor. And I mean, that's not the kind of stuff that I will say is either cheesy or, raunchy or anything like that. Not. It's humor.
it's humor.
And he does it very well. So anyway, in within those 4 films, I appreciated different, though Jojita was my pet project.
Correct.
Because I was trying to get cathartically out of my guilt
Yes.
and my this thing. So I'm writing a story about myself,
Correct.
who's a waster, who's irresponsible, who doesn't care about tells lies. I didn't do all those things.
And the only
And
difference
then redeem himself.
redeem themselves. He didn't have an elder brother. That's the only difference, maybe, because if you had maybe
Actually,
Manish
my
Bell.
elder brother is Amir.
Okay.
Amir is far more sensible than me.
Okay.
So I look upon him as my elder brother.
As your elder brother.
But that happened much later.
Okay.
When he actually became mature. So, yeah. So whatever I like. But as I told you, there are certain things, like I'll tell you, I'll be very honest. I honestly thought Akele and Josh had not done a good job. So,
I beg to differ.
well, thank you. But for 20 years, I didn't see those films.
You didn't.
I didn't.
Oh.
And just during COVID, because YouTube, Zindabad, it's there, all there. So I could daringly visit it. And then I say, hey, Akile is not such a bad film.
It's a beautiful film. The emotional quotient in that film is off the roofs. I mean, it makes a man cry. It's very difficult for somebody to cry. I'll be very honest with you. And that film brings out tears, and unconditional tears. I mean, not just because you relate to it somehow or the other.
Yeah. So I'll answer your point first, and then I'll complete my point. Is that when Jojita released and when Akile released, Jojita was a mediocre success in urban centers.
Okay.
Delhi, Bombay, maybe Chennai, London, UK, US. And it was, and there was a whole role of cable television in it also.
Correct.
On a day of a release, it's 3 times on cable TV, which I don't mind. But please don't chop up the film with ads and all that. Yaar. Dalo, piracy, I have no problem with it. You're helping me, you're taking my film out. So I have a different view on piracy.
Okay.
My problem is don't spoil the product.
Correct.
And it had a mediocre. But as time went by, it somehow connected and invigorated till many people meet me and they say this is our all-time favorite.
Yes.
And it's a cult film.
It is a cult film.
So everything has a time. So same with Akele Hum. Many people at that time said, what are you talking about? How can an Indian wife leave her child and husband? How can she leave? So I said, it happens.
It happens.
But maybe it didn't happen so much then or whatever it is. But आप आज जाके YouTube पे देखिए, अकेले हम की number of hits and number of likes is more than any of my other 3 films. Yeah.
Wow, that's fair.
And the comments are all like you said. Boy, I cried too much. I remember my father.
Yeah.
Matlab, so it took some time. Maybe my style or maybe the nature of the subject or whatever. But let's not praise myself. The mistake that I was talking about, which I was not willing to accept then, is that nowhere in the film does Amir's character ever apologize to her.
Oh.
He's at night when he's drunk and he's speaking to his son, and his son says, Daddy, mommy left because I'm a bad boy, na? He said, no, you're not, and she didn't leave because of that. She left because of me.
Me.
तो अपने बच्चे को बोल पाता है. And the girl comes to his house and says, I'm sorry, and in the corridor also, I'm sorry, मुझे नहीं मालूम था कि मेरा lawyer ये बात लाएगा. So the girl is always saying sorry. But even in the last scene, that is totally wrong. Because there I am being male-centric.
Correct.
Now, I'm not trying to, wash away that. But end में जब वो आती है उसके घर पे and she says, I realize that this is his home. सोनू यही रहेगा.
Beautiful.
And she turns and then Amir says, ये तुम्हारा घर भी है. But that point he could have said, Kiran, I'm sorry. It was my mistake also. और ये तुम्हारा घर भी है. इतनी सी बात आ जाती. So I think I would have said, yes, it's a complete film.
The apology.
Yes.
But I think,
No. Morally, I feel very guilty about that.
For not including an apology.
Yeah.
Well, even the moon has a dark shade. We always sometimes do miss out. Everything cannot be 100%. So, but what you did, look at the commendable part of Akele Ab Akele Tum, because in our society, and I'm sure that you'll relate to it, that we tend to ignore emotions between a father and a son's relationship. If you see the far west, there's a father will always hug a son, say, I love you. The expression of the father and son's love is non-expressive. Let's put it that way. In your life, how many times have you told your dad that you love him? And how many times has your dad told you that he loves you?
I have not even told my wife I love her.
That is
sometimes
yes, absolutely.
I believe in non-verbal communication. Darling, honey, sugar, plum. I don't want these.
But I've got my answer. So Akele Ab Akele Tum is your number one.
I don't know. I mean, in different zones. I feel they are in different zones.
I agree with you. So again, but I would still take that as an answer, that your film closest to your heart is Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. And Akele Ab Akele. Got it. There you go. So let's move on to this beautiful book that Sir has just written. And it's called One, the story of the ultimate myth. Wow, One. Well, let's delve into this, Mansoor sir. How did this come about? What is this book about? And, what more can we learn and hear about the One?
So it's a very short book. It's in a fiction format. Although the intention was to convey a thought.
Okay.
So I used fiction as a device, but very difficult to mix this kind of thought. It's like oil and water. It was very tough. But yet I chose to because fortunately I came up with the correct characters and the correct plot. Simple plot. But coming back to what got me into this mode was that I was the guy I told you who wanted to chase science and technology and this thing and that thing, and I believed in, Newton was my hero and Einstein was even bigger than that, and all that stuff. So I actually started questioning so many things All other normal healthy cells live their life. One goes, one comes, one goes, one comes. That's why your body is in balance.
Correct.
But what is the imbalance? Perpetual growth. And that is our mantra. So my first book was on that, so I won't get into that.
The third curve.
Third curve, yeah. But that was part of my awakening. But the greater awakening, as I kept reading more. So this is outside my curriculum. See, we think we learned everything because we went to these, but we are learning only channelized things. So reality को आप perceive करते हैं with boundaries. That's why my book is called One, which means no boundaries. This is not the digit one.
This is not the digit one.
This is the ONE one, which is what is the difference between the ONE one and the digit one?
It's numeric. The digit one is numeric.
Numeric, but in its essence,
Correct.
one is talking about separation. You create a boundary around something, you say, this is one book, this is one this, this is one that. You are creating an imaginary boundary and you cut out a part of reality and say, this is one.
I see.
And it's separate from reality, which is not. There is no separation. And ONE one, when you say, no, we are one, we should be one, it is a relationship. So this one is all about breaking relationships.
We are one.
And ONE one is a relationship.
I see that.
But we use it interchangeably.
Yes.
And you say, oh, there's no difference.
Yes.
That
We are
उसपे
one.
मैंने short लिखा है. वो it's I'll put it up sometime.
It's so beautiful. The ONE one talks about unity.
It's unity. It's a
Correct.
relationship.
Correct.
Because all of reality is interconnected. It is one.
So what is the essence of this book?
So really speaking, the three main points that I would not take away the joy of readers in case you viewers what.
They would love to. They would love to know what this gift is.
I'm not pushing it down your throat, but when you read it, you will not be disappointed. You will certainly not, and you will be fairly entertained. The fundamental objective is to raise the point in my reader's mind that stop saying humans are destroying the planet. You are doing the greatest injustice and telling the biggest lie. And when you tell a lie, you will never find an answer.
So can I rephrase it?
Yeah.
A certain sect of humans are destroying the planet.
One culture. Don't say sect.
Okay.
Because sect doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
To me.
One culture.
Culture.
Okay.
One culture of humans called civilization.
I see.
So because we have not been aware, some people might struggle to understand what do you mean by that. It is like a cancer cell telling, it goes and convinces those cells that this. Even in today's medicine, they are discovering that how cancer influences a cancer cell influences healthy cells and changes their mindset. That is what civilization does. वो सबसे deluded culture है, सबसे harmful culture है. And now this topic is coming up, Monty. It's not like I'm a lone voice. Please don't say humans. Next time, first think about it. And if any of your friends or anybody in any conversation says, you know what, the problem is humans, or in any context, please correct them. Because unless we get out of that mindset, because there are many things which only males do.
Correct.
But we say humans do it. But females don't do that.
Right.
आप उनको कैसे लपेट रहे हो उसके?
Generalization.
So now that I've said that civilization is a viable culture and the culture responsible, the real meat of the book is to explain to you how and why we are viral.
Mm-hmm.
What makes us viral? What makes us deluded? What makes us so toxic? What makes us out of sync with the rest of reality? So now that I've clarified that it is not humans but one culture called civilization, the question in your mind would come because normally we think of culture as something that first of all only humans have. And civilization is an advanced human culture.
Correct.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता, advanced नहीं होता है, हर culture अलग होता है. But apart from that, we think of culture as art, literature, poetry, these kind of things. Culture is not that. Culture even a frog has.
Okay.
Culture is a summation of a particular species, likes, dislikes, what food you like. A frog likes flies. That's its culture. A frog likes wet places. That is
That's
its
its-
culture. A frog may not like the light, and that's its culture. The frog is scared of certain predators. That is its culture.
His culture.
Culture is only a summation. Similarly, in humans, not only your clothing, your this thing, your traditional this thing, your beliefs, your whatever, there's one thing that is missed out. That culture also includes what myth does a culture have.
All
And
right.
civilization believes that we have no myths. हम लोग थोड़ी उनके प्रिमिटिव लोगों की तरह हैं जो myths में believe करते हैं. हम तो myths निकालते हैं by modern science, by education, by logic. हम तो we are myth busters. That poor Adivasi believes that tree is his auntie. Oh, how stupid. And that stone is his granduncle.
Right.
And the hill across is God. So, an so-called educated person from civilization say, how naive.
How nice.
That stone is an inanimate object. In fact, it's a resource. And that plant is also a useful thing, but it's also a resource. और वो mountain वो पहाड़ है, वो contour है, ये है वो है. We describe it in all other respects. That's not God. That is also got a lot of resources. So now we reduced everything to resources. But apart from resources, the point is, I say to a person who would ask me something like this, give this kind of an answer, I would say, wait a minute, yeah. I admit that they think that the tree is their aunt. So they revere it all the more. वो उसका ख्याल रखेंगे. How bad can that be? It may be a myth, but is it a damaging myth? Is it a harmful myth? Is it a dangerous myth?
It's not hurting the
It is
society.
supporting that culture, and that's why they are so respectful of nature. The stone doesn't appear to them as a resource. For us, anything is a resource.
So
And even if they believe that mountain is God, of course, in a way, it is God for them. It traps the rain, it has all the bacteria, the microbes and all that, which make the forest grow, which makes them survive. In a way, it's God.
they have their reasoning for it.
They have their reasoning, and you might call it reasoning or belief or whatever. Whether it comes out of emotion, instinct or whatever. You'll say, okay, it's a myth. But how damaging is it? I don't mind if they believe that, because that's only helpful. They will not dig a hole through that mountain and make a...
They'll preserve it, as a matter of
preserve
fact.
it, they'll live in sync with it.
They'll live in sync with it.
Yeah. So, सबसे बड़ा, which is why my book is called
One, the story of the
story
ultimate
of
myth.
the ultimate myth. And the ultimate myth, only civilization believes in.
Correct.
And that is the myth of the boundary. Boundary? No. That boundary is an imaginary concept. It's जुड़ा हुआ है. इंडिया पाकिस्तान जुड़ा हुआ है. यहाँ का रिवर यहाँ आता है, यहाँ का माइक्रोब्स वहाँ जाते हैं. It's interconnected. There is no disconnect, which is called separation. And our culture is a culture that really believes that in separation. We really believe that this is Monty. And outside this boundary, imaginary, आपकी boundary कहाँ है मुझे बताइए?
Correct. This.
Is it your skin? Is it the thin layer of air which has a unique aroma of you and is heated by your body?
Right.
Is it up to here? Your boundary is here. I
No.
can see you and you're affected by me. Your gravitational field goes right up to the end of the universe, wherever it is. And इसीलिए बाद में
Very tricky question, though.
no, it is straight and honest as hell. It is it's real.
It's a question which could have a
No.
multiple answers.
Answers, but
Don't know which one's correct.
no, there is no boundary. Which is why the civilization some 5,000 or 3,000 years ago wrote this marvelous book called Advait. फिर आपने अद्वैत क्यों लिखी? Advait means, the word itself means no other, no second. everything is connected.
So
और आपने उस boundary से, the boundary का तो it's not a philosophical question. I hate philosophy. Who am I? What is the purpose of life? Nonsense. No Adivasi or tribal or indigenous person centrally waste time asking these nonsensical questions. They have absolutely no meaning.
but this is fiction. Your book is
My
fiction.
book is fiction, but I have slipped in these thoughts.
But you moved into the factual realm.
Yeah, I managed to immerse this within the narrative, but seamlessly.
I see.
Because I believe in one, everything has to be seamless. There's no seam, so I managed that.
And the message comes across the conversation of the two characters that you have.
No, they don't have a conversation.
Okay.
One character puts his thoughts down and shares it with the other character.
The other
So
character.
the other character is actually reading it. So, तो आप बोलेंगे अच्छा ठीक है यार, there can be many answers for boundaries. But how damaging is that, Mansoor? It is immensely damaging. Because when you create the notion of an imaginary boundary, then you give it a label.
Do pamper yourself and challenge your gray cells, as this book will definitely make you think. And thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful
pleasure.
gift. The story of the ultimate myth. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host Monty signing off with another very, very special guest in Mumbai. And thank you, Mansoor sir, for your wonderful
Thanks.
time and this wonderful gift to the universe, to you, to everybody. Spread the message, share it with your friends across the world, and make sure that they read this wonderful creation, the one. Wonderful creation, the one. Wow, that's a play of words. This is your host, Monty signing off.
And
you.
this is your copy. No, sorry. I'll sign one for you.
Okay, there you go. You want to sign it on camera? Well, he's a man of his words. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching your favorite show, The Monty Khan Show. Keep watching ITV Gold. Take care. Salam. Namaste.
Bye, folks.
Shanti. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for the book. Means a lot.
See you.
Yes. There you go. Signed by the one and only Mansoor Khan. For Monty. Special gift. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir. What a pleasure.
Bye.